This stands as a really important and reflective reading. Sometimes the cards pick you, as they did yesterday. If you saw that video, you'll recall that they literally jumped from the deck. Other times, you pick the cards, not at random, for specific reasons, as a reflective exercise. At least I do. And I've found this a really useful exercise. So today marks a significant day in my personal history. And as it happens, in the Setian context overall, for today, something I didn't know last year, we recognize Set, the Prince of Darkness, acting to slay Osiris, a being of stagnation, something that we and many people find distasteful and, more importantly, unuseful. So I begin this spread with the Black Flame Tarot and its depiction of the Prince of Darkness, or the Devil, setting out on an initiatory course requires a certain, if not rebellious, nature, at least one of discontent with the present circumstances and a desire and drive to change those things. Hence, our aversion to stasis. So that led me on the Fool's Path, where in some ways I, as you would expect, was not as well prepared as I had thought I was for the journey ahead. In some ways, I was better prepared than I had expected, and something I like to draw attention to when it comes to the Fool, he's got a lot of stuff, and a lot of it proves useful in ways maybe that he didn't even anticipate it would. A lot of it doesn't prove useful, and I think part of the Fool's journey and part of the initiatory quest lies in deciding what we need to keep in our bag, and what, even though useful in some contexts and fun in other ones, weighs us down presently. What can we do without? What do we need to do without? This has been part of the journey. A journey of transformation, a death to the old self in some ways, but with considerable growth, as we see here, in other ways, which required the transformation of death seen on the left side of the card to take place. This experience so far has touched every aspect of my life. The 4 suits of tarot represent 4 aspects of life, 4 circles or centers, and none of these have gone unaffected thus far in my initiatory quest in Set's temple. I'll start with the intellectual, the swords, where we find a more aware, potential-based awareness of ourselves. You'll notice the inclusion of the blue rose, something we don't see in nature. We need to, in an initiatory context, begin looking at our potentials beyond ourselves. You'll also notice the inclusion of something that looks surprisingly, strikingly similar to Stanley Kubrick's Monolith from the Space Odyssey movies and Arthur Clarke's books, representing that awareness that we need to get in touch with, and which I have, and which has led me to charge forth in quest of more light, more self-knowledge on this journey. Closely linked to the intellectual side, and which should balance it, we see a similar figure, wands, or in this case staffs or scepters. We can balance the creative sharp side with the intellectual sharp side, with the creative side, which involves tempering and reshaping. We can take iron bars and turn them into something not only useful intellectually, but useful for creative purposes. And that requires the heat and fire that we see represented by the colors in this Three of Wands. The three being significant to exponential growth. And this has been the case for me. In this last year, I've begun doing a lot of creative things, a lot of them centering around tarot, such as this channel, that would have been unthinkable to me before, because I wasn't ready, or so I thought. But the fool, again, often doesn't ever think he'll actually get ready, or become ready. And some people never take that blindfold off and begin walking on the path. So this area of my life has definitely been affected and has led me to more purposeful, reasoned uses of this creativity. And some of these ideas haven't really gone anywhere, but they've given me other ideas that will. So, all part of the journey, all part of the work that we do. The environmental or sustenance aspect of life, another three, where potential was already a realized aspect, but dealing with it and figuring out how to shape it and craft it to support my ends and aims was something that needed to happen, and that has, after eating from the forbidden fruit, as it were, and beginning the transformation. I've begun to affect the external environment by working on the internal. I've begun to shape the external by applying many principles, some hermetic and others a bit more hidden away. And while I don't have that mansion, or I haven't made that move to the foreign country, or I haven't got all the money I want to survive and to help those that I want to help, it all comes in steps. But I have moved out of what was a comfort zone into a more insightful and purposeful direction. And that shows signs of progress. Finally, the relationship aspect. Sometimes we find ourselves in situations not only unideal, but really stifling to ourselves and our objectives. And a lot of that starts on the inside. Maybe we don't have much self-worth. Maybe we don't have much self-confidence. And we surround ourselves by the people or the sorts of people that we think we can do no better than. And our friends and even our spouses or partners in these situations can become drains. They can become millstones about our necks, to repurpose the words of a certain carpenter. Sometimes, although painful and difficult, we need to make a decision to pour some of those out. And I don't mean that we just need to pour out the relationships we have with other people. We need to consciously reflect, as does the Princess of Cups, on ourselves, our self-view, our self-worth. And sometimes that will lead us to leave an unhealthy, stagnant, Osiris-like situation within ourselves, which then leads to action in other realms. But it doesn't have to seem all tragic and bad, because while we see her leaving a not-so-good situation, she heads towards something unknown, something better, and we need to focus on that. I, for one, have already been finding some amazing benefits in this regard, and they've been truly wonderful. So, again, I find myself reflective over the last year of initiation. I expect many years to come. This has been great, and I plan on another post of this sort in 365.